Well, I am Deanna Wicklund. I am a wife, a mother, a graphic designer, and a leukemia survivor. Back in 2013, in the summer, I was feeling really exhausted. And I thought that it was just normal, the life of a parent. I have 4 kids, and the youngest at the time was about to turn 4, so I was just dragging myself around on a daily, and to the point where I couldn't even walk up our driveway, which is completely flat. I went across to my general practitioner, and my heart was racing, and I had shortness of breath, but she thought that maybe I had like a heart problem, or I had like a problem with my thyroid or something. So she took some blood, and I didn't really think anything of it because she didn't seem that alarmed by it. I went back, got my kids, came home, and then it got to the part of the evening where I was putting Jack, who was 4, to bed, and the phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing, and I was like, well, who is calling me at 9 o'clock at night? I went to answer the phone, and it was like, this is your doctor's calling service. We've been trying to call you all day to tell you that there's something seriously wrong with your blood. You need to go to the ER right now. We went to get checked in, and throughout the evening they did a lot of blood tests on me, EKGs, all kind of stuff. No one seemed to really understand what was wrong with me. So they put me in an overnight room. In the morning I woke up and there was a doctor next to me on the side of the bed. I just will never forget that moment. His name was Dr. Atkins, and he walks in, Jeff, and he has this Dunkin' Donuts in his hand. He's so eager to give me something, cool and refreshing to drink. At the same time, this doctor says to me, I think you have leukemia. To be sure, I just need to do this bone marrow biopsy, of which I didn't understand at the time what that was. I was just reeling. I was like, ugh. I'm like, what the heck? How is this happening? So he comes back with this little glass slide, and he hands it to me in a little box, and he says, you have leukemia. I think the kind you have, you can treat, but you can't get treated in Albany. We can't fix you here. Go home, pack up your stuff, and leave. We start driving to Dana-Farber, and the guy at St. Peter's says to me, I have a friend who works at Dana-Farber. He's gonna meet you at the ER. And I was like, that sounds completely asinine. That is absolutely not happening. Nobody is going to meet me at the ER at one of the largest hospitals in Boston. Sure enough, I get there, and they are waiting for me. And they check me into the ER, and they confirm that I have leukemia, but it's so incredibly advanced that I have to start chemo that day. I'm there for weeks. They try and get me into remission, and they told me that I'm never going to be cured unless I have a stem cell transplant. I don't have siblings, so therefore there's no one who can be a match for me and my family. This was August 21st that I was diagnosed, and then in mid-September, they told me that they could get me in remission long enough that I could leave the hospital after 6 weeks of being inpatient. They sent me home to find a donor. In October, they found somebody to be my match, and that meant that somebody was my perfect DNA match. That's incredible to me, because how was that possible? That somebody has my DNA that I don't even know. Come November, I went back and had to do several more rounds of radiation so that I can accept a donor's stem cell transplant. Then in November, I got my transplant from an anonymous donor. Obviously, I lived, and I found out who they were. It was a 30-some-year-old gentleman from Missouri who took a lot of time out of his life to give me all his DNA, and now I have his DNA. I have his blood type. If somebody did a swab of me, I would be him. So it's kind of wacky. Fast forward, how are we the Wicklund Warriors? Leukemia Lymphoma Society would do a walk over at Siena called Light the Night. They would have teams who would form to raise money for the LLS, and those teams would, walk the campus of Siena, and they would hold up a lantern, 3 different colors, whether you were a survivor, whether you were in treatment, or if you had memorialized somebody who had passed away from a blood cancer. The team that we had, I wasn't there because I was still in treatment. It was in October. It was hundreds of people from our community who made this team. Another board member of ours, Jennifer Karen, named the team the Wicklund Warriors. After a few years of fundraising for the LLS, we wanted to create a charity that gave back to the 518. It's overwhelming the amount of financial strain it puts on a family, especially when you have to leave that second or your loved one's going to die, and they have to be treated at a center of excellence, which most often isn't here. From that, we decided that we wanted to create a charity whose mission it was to raise money that we could give grants to people suffering with a blood cancer and the 518 and provide them a substantial financial assistance so they could overcome these hardships. You don't have to be a pediatric cancer survivor or patient. you can also be an adult. So they submit the applications to us, we review them as a board, and then we provide financial grants. If you aren't financially secure or you don't have the wherewithal to take care of your own finances, we do that for you. We'll do anything it takes to help the people who apply to the Wicklund Warriors. I guess I just keep going because I know it means so much for them. And it's hard for me because I was very fortunate. I didn't have any of the side effects. When you have a transplant, there's a lot of horrible side effects that can happen to your body post-transplant because your body is constantly fighting your donor. And I feel kind of guilty that it was so easy for me. Families of people who are experiencing a blood cancer, I just want you to know that there's always a community for you. There's always resources. Just know that there's a lot of us out there who can provide support, and we understand your story. You can go to our wicklundwarriors.com resources page. We try to list as many places that we know of that are helpful there. So if you're an adult experiencing something like this and you need help, call us here at the Wicklund Warriors. We can help you because we know what to do. The easiest way to donate to the Wicklund Warriors is to go to our PayPal giving fund. It's the Wicklund Warriors at the PayPal giving fund. For all the families that are going through this now, just know that hopefully there's better times ahead and you can look back and laugh at all of these things that I'm doing right now. So I want to thank everybody who supports us, and we'll continue to do the best that we can for everybody in our community as long as we are here. Thank you.